greatest thinkers in psychology, left us with a teaching that transcends generations. Pain is neither a punishment nor a mere coincidence. It is a signal, a deep call from the most hidden corners of our being, urging us to stop, listen, and reflect on the path we are walking. That discomfort, that unease we so often prefer to ignore, is not there to make us suffer. It is there to wake us up. Think back to the hardest moments of your life, those days when it felt like the world was collapsing around you, when the future seemed uncertain and no answers came your way. Have you ever considered that perhaps those moments were not designed to break you, but to reveal something profound about yourself? Jung firmly believed that suffering is a tool for transformation. Every tear, every frustration, and every loss has the power to lead us to a deeper understanding of who we truly are. Too often, we live trapped in cycles of external expectations, trying to fit into molds that do not reflect our true essence. We convince ourselves that we must be strong at all times, that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. But what if I told you that your greatest strength lies precisely in your moments of deepest fragility? Jung taught us that the first step toward healing and growth is facing the parts of ourselves we have repressed, our insecurities, fears, and those shadows, as he called them. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. On the contrary, it strengthens them, allowing them to shape our reality in ways we do not always understand. Have you ever noticed patterns in your life, repeating over and over again? Relationship after relationship, decision after decision, you find yourself trapped in the same cycles. This is no coincidence. Your unconscious is trying to communicate something to you. There may be something within you that needs to be confronted, something you have been avoiding, but that once faced could finally set you free. The pain you feel is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is there to guide you toward your awakening, toward a more authentic and fulfilled version of yourself. But to understand its message, you need courage. The courage to stop running, to face yourself, and to accept that, although the process may be uncomfortable, the result is worth it. Imagine for a moment living a life completely aligned with your truth. A life where you no longer need to hide behind masks, where you can be yourself without fear of judgment or rejection. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you were always meant to be. But this journey is not without challenges. It requires confronting your shadows, exploring your fears, and integrating all those parts of yourself that you have denied for so long. There is a reason why certain experiences impact you more deeply than others, why certain encounters or situations strike a chord within you. It is not a coincidence. These are messages from your unconscious, signals that something within you needs to be discovered, healed, or transformed. Jung believed that our unconscious speaks to us through symbols, intuitions, and emotions. That unease you feel, that discomfort you cannot ignore, it is nothing less than your own soul trying to communicate with you. But here is the problem. We live in a world that teaches us to silence that voice. We distract ourselves with external noise, with the demands of daily life, with the expectations of others. We tell ourselves we do not have time to reflect, that we must keep moving forward without stopping. And in doing so, we disconnect from the most important thing, ourselves. But when you choose to listen to your pain instead of repressing it, something remarkable begins to happen. The answers you are desperately searching for outside start to emerge from within you. Your relationships, your decisions, even your perception of life begins to shift. Not because the external world has changed, but because you have. That is the power of facing your shadows. It transforms you from the inside out. Most people spend their entire lives running from themselves. They fear what they might find if they dare to look within. They fear facing the wounds of the past, the insecurities that paralyze them, the mistakes they would rather forget. But Jung taught us that true power does not lie in avoiding our shadows, but in embracing them. Only when we accept all parts of ourselves, even those we consider dark or inadequate, can we experience true transformation. Think about it for a moment. What aspects of your life have you been avoiding? Perhaps it is a relationship you know is not good for you, but you are afraid to leave behind. Perhaps it is a dream you abandoned because it seemed too difficult, or because someone convinced you that you were not good enough. Whatever it may be, the first step toward healing is recognizing it. Carl Jung would say that by denying these parts of yourself, you create a disconnection between your conscious and unconscious self. And this disconnection is at the root of many of the internal conflicts you experience. The key to resolving this conflict is not to wage war against yourself, but to reconcile with yourself. It is about learning to listen to what your soul is trying to tell you through pain, intense emotions, or repetitive experiences that seem to arise again and again. When you begin to view suffering from this perspective, it stops being something you want to avoid and instead becomes an opportunity for growth. Imagine for a moment that every painful experience you've ever had was in reality a message intended to guide you toward a deeper understanding of who you are and what you truly need to be happy. Jung firmly believed that nothing in our lives happens by chance. Every encounter, every challenge, and every moment of joy or sorrow has a purpose. But to uncover that purpose, you must be willing to look beyond the surface and dive deep into the depths of your being. This is where the concept of individuation comes into play. Jung described individuation as the journey toward wholeness, the process of becoming the person you are destined to be. It is not an easy path, but it is the only one that can lead you to a life of authenticity and meaning. Individuation does not mean achieving perfection. Rather, it means embracing your imperfections and finding balance between your light and your shadow. It is about learning to live in harmony with yourself and with the world around you. One of the greatest obstacles in this process is fear. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of leaving behind what is familiar, even when you know it no longer serves you. This fear is natural. But Jung taught us that growth always involves a degree of uncertainty. It is like walking down a dark path without knowing exactly where it will lead, yet trusting that every step brings you closer to the light. And this is where many people stop. They prefer to remain in their comfort zone, even if that comfort zone is filled with dissatisfaction and pain, because they fear what they might find on the other side. But what they fail to realize is that the greatest risk is not exploring the unknown. It is remaining trapped in a life that does not reflect their true self. When you choose to confront your fears and take the leap into the unknown, something incredible happens. You begin to see how the pieces of the puzzle in your life start to fit together. The right people come into your life. Opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to appear naturally. And most importantly, you experience an inner peace you have never known before. This is not a process that happens overnight. It requires time, patience, and an unwavering commitment to yourself. But the result is worth every effort, because when you reconcile with your shadow, you discover a strength and wisdom that have always been within you, waiting to be acknowledged. This journey inward, toward your authenticity, is one of the bravest acts you can undertake. As you begin to face your shadows and embrace your fears, you realize that pain is not the enemy you once imagined, but rather an ally pushing you toward your growth. Carl Jung often said, "What you resist persists." This simple yet profound truth reminds us that every time we avoid an emotion, a memory, or an uncomfortable truth, we give it more power over us. Think about it. How many times have you avoided facing a situation because you were afraid of what might happen? Perhaps it was a difficult conversation with someone close to you, an important decision you postponed, or a change you knew you needed to make that seemed too overwhelming. Without realizing it, that act of avoidance created a cycle of anxiety, guilt, or frustration that continues to linger in your life. Jung believed that these emotions are nothing more than messages from the unconscious. Messages that, though uncomfortable, are meant to help you grow. If you have the courage to stop and pay attention, you can uncover truths about yourself that will transform you completely. This is the power of self-knowledge. Not only does it free you from invisible chains, but it also gives you control over your own life. Often, our shadows manifest in our relationships. It is in our closest connections that our wounds, insecurities, and repressed patterns come to the surface. Perhaps you have found yourself attracting people who hurt you or facing the same conflicts repeatedly. This is no coincidence. These dynamics are merely a reflection of what you carry within. Jung called this phenomenon projection, the act of seeing in others what you refuse to acknowledge in yourself. For example, if someone makes you feel undervalued or ignored, it may be a sign that there is a part of you that feels insecure or that has not been valued in the past. The key is not to blame the other person, but to ask yourself, what is this experience teaching me about myself? What wounds does my soul need to heal so that I stop projecting them onto others? When you begin to view your relationships from this perspective, everything changes. You no longer see conflicts as personal attacks, but as opportunities for growth. You stop looking for someone to blame and start seeking answers within yourself. This shift in perspective is what leads to true transformation. When you embrace your shadows instead of running from them, when you listen to the messages hidden in your suffering, and when you dare to step beyond fear, you begin to align with your true self. And in doing so, you unlock the wisdom, strength, and peace that have always been within you, waiting for you to claim them. This shift in perspective not only transforms your relationships, but also changes the way you perceive the world. Of course, this process is not easy. It requires a level of honesty with yourself that can be uncomfortable at first. However, it is precisely within that discomfort where the possibility of transformation resides. As Carl Jung once said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This means that it is not enough to simply wish for a better or happier life. You must be willing to look within yourself and confront whatever you find there. The pain you have experienced in the past, the wounds you still carry, are not obstacles to your happiness. In fact, they are the very building blocks with which you can construct an authentic and meaningful life. But in order to do so, you need to change your relationship with suffering. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid at all costs, learn to perceive it as a teacher, one that has something valuable to teach you. Imagine your life as a river. When you resist the natural flow of things, you create turbulence. But when you choose to flow with the river, embracing both the calm currents and the unpredictable rapids, you begin to understand that every twist and every fall serves a purpose. This is the mindset Jung invites us to adopt. Rather than fighting against your emotions or circumstances, learn to work with them. Listen to them. Allow them to guide you to where you need to be. When you start to embrace your pain and integrate your shadows, something profound happens within you. The energy you once spent suppressing or avoiding your emotions is now freed. And with this renewed energy, you can finally focus on what truly matters: your dreams, your relationships, your purpose. It's as if, by releasing the weight of the past, you suddenly create the space and clarity needed to build the future you have always desired. Never underestimate the impact this inner work can have on your life. Jung believed that when we transform our inner world, the outer world changes as well. The right people start to appear. Opportunities that once seemed unattainable begin to manifest. And most importantly, you discover an inner peace that no external circumstance can take away from you. This inner transformation does not only affect your personal life, it also changes the way you interact with the world. As you begin to heal your wounds and integrate your shadows, you become more authentic. You no longer feel the need to wear masks to please others or hide your vulnerabilities out of fear of judgment. You realize that your true power lies in being unapologetically yourself, without pretense or fear. And this authenticity has a magnetic effect. People are naturally drawn to those who are at peace with themselves, those who are not afraid to show who they truly are. This does not mean that everyone will understand or accept you, but it does mean that you will attract the right people, those who are aligned with your truth and who will support you on your journey. Jung believed that our relationships act as mirrors, reflecting both our strengths and our weaknesses. When you begin to work on yourself, the dynamics of your relationships also shift. Perhaps you have had friendships or relationships that felt draining, connections that always demanded more from you than they were willing to give in return. These experiences, though painful, are valuable opportunities for learning. They teach you about your boundaries and the value you place on yourself. When you choose to let go of what no longer resonates with you, you not only free yourself from emotional burdens, but also create space for new experiences and new people to enter your life. This can be frightening at first. Letting go of the familiar, even when it is unhealthy, always brings uncertainty. But Jung reminds us that the emptiness left behind is not something to fear. It is a sacred space where something new can emerge. As you go through this process, you will begin to notice something remarkable: synchronicity. Jung described synchronicity as meaningful coincidences, events that appear to be unrelated yet hold profound significance in your life. Perhaps you think of someone and suddenly they call you, or maybe you stumble upon exactly the information you need at the perfect moment. These experiences are not mere chance. They are signs that you are aligned with your purpose and that your unconscious mind is working in your favor. Synchronicity is like a whisper from the universe telling you, keep going, you're on the right path. But in order to notice these signs, you must be present, open, and connected to yourself. Instead of filling your mind with external noise or worrying about the future, allow yourself to fully embrace the present moment. Listen to your intuition. Pay close attention to your emotions and trust that everything is happening for a reason. Reaching a higher level of consciousness is not something that happens overnight. It is not a sudden revelation, but rather an ongoing process, a journey of self-discovery that requires dedication, patience, and an open heart. There will be days when you feel like you are making great progress, when everything seems to align perfectly and clarity comes effortlessly. But there will also be days when it feels like you've taken a step backward, when doubts creep in and frustration weighs you down. This is completely normal. Growth is not a straight path. It is a winding road with highs and lows, twists and turns. Every step, even the most difficult ones, plays a vital role in your evolution. The moments that challenge you the most are often the ones that shape you the most. One of the greatest challenges on this path is learning how to forgive yourself. Many times, the emotional burdens we carry are not caused by what others have done to us, but by the regrets and self-judgments we impose upon ourselves. We constantly replay past mistakes in our minds, punishing ourselves for decisions we wish we had made differently. We dwell on missed opportunities, on words left unspoken, on actions we now regret. But as Carl Jung reminds us, The past does not define who you are. What truly matters is what you choose to do today, in this very moment. Self-forgiveness is one of the most powerful and liberating acts you can perform. It does not mean justifying your mistakes or pretending they never happened. It does not mean ignoring their consequences. Rather, it means acknowledging that at every moment in your life, you did the best you could with the knowledge, awareness, and tools you had at that time. Self-forgiveness is about granting yourself the permission to learn from your past without being chained to it. It is about allowing yourself to move forward without the heavy weight of guilt dragging you down. And when you finally choose to forgive yourself, something profound shifts within you. The emotional burden you've been carrying for so long begins to dissolve. In its place, a new sense of lightness and clarity emerges. With this newfound clarity, you begin to perceive your life from a completely different perspective. Instead of obsessing over what went wrong, you start to see the infinite possibilities that lie ahead. And this is the most crucial truth that Jung wanted us to understand. Everything you need to transform your life is already within you. You do not need to look outward for permission to be happy. You do not need to wait for external validation, approval, or guidance. The power to shape your reality, to define your destiny, is in your hands. Every single day, you have the ability to choose how you respond to experiences, how you interpret events, and how you mold your future. Pain, though uncomfortable, serves as a powerful reminder of this truth. It is not merely an obstacle, it is a catalyst for growth. It is a signal that you are alive, evolving, and moving toward a higher state of awareness. Pain pushes you to expand your perspective, to confront your fears, and to tap into the inner strength that has always been within you. As you continue this journey of transformation, you will come to realize that true power does not lie in controlling the external world. It lies in how you choose to respond to it. This is one of the most valuable lessons that Jung left us. Your perception is your greatest tool. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs shape the way you experience life. While you may not always have control over external circumstances, you always have control over the meaning you assign to them. Think back to the most difficult experiences of your life, perhaps moments of loss, rejection, or failure. At the time, they may have seemed unbearable, like obstacles too great to overcome. But now, looking back, you may see that those very experiences taught you something invaluable. Perhaps they made you stronger. Perhaps they made you wiser. Perhaps they opened doors you never would have considered before. This is the hidden gift of pain. It forces us to grow in ways we never imagined. Jung believed that every human being has a unique purpose, a path that only they can walk. But to discover this path, you must first shed the distractions and expectations that have been imposed upon you by society, by your upbringing, and by external influences. This requires immense courage because it means facing yourself, your fears, your insecurities, your doubts. It means listening to that inner voice, your intuition, the one you have often silenced out of fear of what it might reveal. Your intuition does not communicate through words, but through sensations, through that deep, unshakable feeling in your gut that tells you when something is right or wrong. But to hear it clearly, you must first learn to trust yourself. And this is where many people struggle. They have spent so much time seeking external validation, looking for answers in social media, in the opinions of others, in the rules dictated by society, that they have forgotten how to trust their own judgment. The modern world teaches us to seek guidance outside of ourselves, to conform, to follow trends, to live by expectations that are not truly our own. But Jung reminds us that the answers we seek are not out there, they are within us. To access them, we must disconnect from the external noise and reconnect with our true essence. This does not mean isolating yourself from the world or rejecting all external opinions. It simply means learning to filter what you hear, to discern between what genuinely resonates with your soul and what does not. It means prioritizing your own truth over the expectations of others. This is an act of self-love, and like all acts of love, it requires practice and patience. When you begin to live in alignment with your true self, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become more meaningful. Your challenges become less intimidating. This does not mean that life will suddenly become perfect or that you will never face difficulties again, but it does mean that you will have the strength and clarity to face them with grace, confidence, and resilience. Jung spoke often about the importance of embracing all parts of ourselves, our light and our shadow, our strengths and our weaknesses. This process of integration is what allows us to live fully and authentically. The goal is not to eliminate imperfections, but to accept them as part of who you are. Because when you truly accept yourself, flaws and all, you also gain the ability to accept others in the same way. In this context, relationships take on a deeper meaning. Every interaction, every conflict, every connection you form becomes an opportunity for growth. When you are at peace with yourself, your relationships reflect that peace. You no longer seek others to fill your voids or to validate your existence. Instead, you share your life from a place of wholeness and genuine love. This journey toward authenticity is not easy, but it is the most rewarding path you will ever take. And the first step always begins with you. Take a moment to reflect on the areas of your life that need your attention, the emotions you have been suppressing, the decisions you have been avoiding. Ask yourself, what would happen if I chose to face these things instead of ignoring them? What new possibilities could open up for me if I had the courage to be completely honest with myself? The answers to these questions could be the beginning of a transformation that not only changes your life, but also the lives of those around you. When you choose to live from your truth, you inspire others to do the same. This is the true power of authenticity. It does not only transform your inner world, but also has a profound impact on the external world around you. Living in alignment with who you truly are is one of the most liberating and transformative journeys you can embark on. As Carl Jung described, the path to authenticity is not an easy one. It requires deep self-exploration, courage, and a willingness to confront the parts of yourself that you may have hidden, denied, or ignored. However, despite its challenges, it is the only path that leads to a truly fulfilled life. When you embrace your authenticity, you begin to break free from the limitations imposed by societal expectations, fears, and past conditioning. One of the most powerful aspects of this journey is learning to face your own shadows. It means looking inward, listening to your intuition, and embracing both the light and the darkness within you. True strength does not come from avoiding your fears or suppressing your emotions. It comes from acknowledging them, understanding them, and integrating them into your being. You do not need to strive for perfection. Rather, you need to strive for honesty with yourself. To fully accept who you are, with all your strengths and flaws, is to reclaim your personal power. When you make the conscious decision to walk this path, you are not only transforming your own life, you are also contributing to a greater change in the world. Your authenticity becomes a beacon of light for others, showing them that it is possible to break free from the invisible chains that hold them back. Your courage to face your own fears serves as an inspiration for those around you to do the same. This is the ripple effect of awakening. The moment you step into your truth, you give permission for others to do the same. Now take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, what is my pain trying to tell me? What part of myself have I been suppressing or ignoring? Most importantly, what can I do today to take one step closer to my true self? If this message resonates with you, I invite you to take action. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Perhaps a friend, a family member, or someone who is going through a difficult time. Your actions could be the spark that lights the path for someone else. Let me know in the comments which part of this message touched your heart, or what decision you are willing to make to align with your truth. Every comment is an opportunity to inspire others who are on this same journey. Together, we can build a community where authenticity and transformation thrive. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming messages. Every time you interact with this content, whether by commenting, sharing, or giving it a like, you are helping this message reach more people, more souls who, just like you, are seeking answers and a way to live in harmony with who they truly are. Thank you for being part of this community, for your time, and for being here. Remember, change begins with you, and every small step you take today is the beginning of a transformation that will impact your life forever. I'll see you in the next video, and never forget, your authenticity is your greatest power.